Welcome to my Beautystack. My name is Sharmadean Reid and I'm the founder of the Beautystack app and host of this podcast. I'm passionate about beauty and business, and every week I'll be speaking to a founder or CEO on the role that beauty has played in their careers. We discuss their beginnings, their learnings, and find out who are the professionals that keep them feeling powerful every day. Join me on this journey of reassessing how beauty plays an important role, not only in our professional lives but in wider society. And finally, I hope you discover your next favourite beauty spot, as recommended by our incredible guests.
Makeup for women, I think, is a necessity often to make themselves look professional. And I don't make the rules, I don't say I like it, but, there've even been studies that show that women who wear makeup to work earn more money. They get paid more. They get, judged negatively if you don't wear makeup. And I think it is just about looking professional. And so it's fine if I'm meeting like a professional contact that I know well, who is a friend who I've met a few times, or it's like my editor or my agent, they don't care what I look like. But if I'm meeting, let's say if I was going to meet a brand, going to pitch them an idea, I'd absolutely make sure that my makeup was looking on point, because it's just it also just shows that you care.
That's Otegha Uwagba. She's an author, entrepreneur, and was featured on Forbes 30 Under 30. As the founder of Women Who, she connects and supports creative working women through various forms of content, including a newsletter, website and podcast, as well as live events. Her career guide, Little Black Book, was a Sunday Times bestseller. She's working on an incredible new book on money, and her Twitter feed is major lols. Hi, Otegha.
Hi, Shah.
I'm very happy to see your face.
Yeah, you too.
Tell me about what you're doing, what you do, what you work on. How do people know you?
So my story is that I am a writer and a speaker as well, and occasional brand consultant. And I am the creator of Women Who.
Is brilliant and given so many women a platform to connect and create, and I've been to your events and they're incredible, and I'm quite fascinated about when did you start thinking about career, because career and women's careers have informed so much of your work.
I think I started thinking about that when I was a teenager, so maybe kind of 14, 15. The school that I went to, it was, very kind of ambitious private school in the city, in the Barbican, and it's
girls, right?
Yeah, and they placed a huge emphasis on career ambition, and they pushed us towards things that, in hindsight, that's not what I went into. It was very kind of corporate jobs, go and work in the city because the school is in the city, so that makes sense. But it does mean that from the age of about 14, 15, I was thinking about work and how I'm gonna thrive and succeed in the workplace. But yeah, I think right from that age, right through uni, definitely when I graduated, because you kind of have to start figuring things out, I was always thinking about what I wanted to do for a living, and that being successful at work would be really important to me. And I was very strategic about things, even though I've ended up doing something quite different from what I maybe thought about doing at various points in my teens and early 20s. I was very strategic, and whenever I had a job interview, for instance, I'd research and practice and think about it so much. I never just turned up. So I've always been pretty careers focused, I think.
And then you went into advertising straight away?
Yeah, not quite straight away. So my first job actually out of uni, literally the summer that I graduated, I was looking for temp work. I ended up covering reception at this small kind of market comms agency. It's worked in pharmaceuticals, very dry. But from there, they hired me off reception into being an account exec, and then I ended up staying there for 2 years. And then from that, I made the leap into proper advertising. So then I got my first big ad agency job, and I very much made a concerted decision that I wanted to work in advertising, because I was like, okay, it's cool, it's interesting, it's kind of fun, it's creative, it's young. I looked at that and I was like, that's what I want to do. And so I spent several months, maybe a year, just kind of strategizing and working my way into it. And what actually happened was that, so I had this job as an account exec at this marketing agency, and I took 2 weeks of annual leave, told them I was going on holiday, and actually what I'd done is I'd gotten work experience at one of the big ad agencies in London through like a friend of a friend. And so I went there and just sat there for 2 weeks because there wasn't really anything for me to do. And then I just like emailed everyone who worked in the company. I went to meet the HR. I was like, in the building, I've got 2 weeks. Who can I make connections with whilst I'm here? And I saw it as a good investment of my time, which it was, because I think the head of HR or head of talent was impressed that I'd like done this. Like, also it's like, I was like taking 2 weeks of annual leave, which I think the older you get, the more like precious that is. But I was like 21 and I was like, yeah, whatever, like I'll just use these 10 days. And they were like, you've done what? To come and sit here and not be paid? And they were like, okay. And then she hooked me up with a few recruiters, and they were the ones who ended up getting me a job, not at that ad agency, actually, a rival ad agency. And that was kind of how I got my foot in the door.
And what was your vibe then? Were you wearing braids?
I relaxed my hair when I was 17, and so I could get a weave. And my mum was like, don't do it, it's going to ruin your hair. And I was like, obviously no. And I remember it was like a picture of like Gabrielle Union, where her hair just looked so amazing that I was like, oh my God, I like need to have that hair. And like literally that was like the photo that is like, and it looked, you know, amazing. Obviously I like wrecked my hair. So when I had my hair relaxed and in like a short kind of pixie cut for...
Exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like, you know, she just looked I think she maybe did a cameo in something like Ugly Betty or something like that, and I was just like, you look sensational. And that was what pushed me over the edge. Like, went running to the hairdressers and like got that creamy crack on my hair, put a weave in. Yeah. But then I got rid of the weave off. You know, I only had weaves for about 6 months, maybe less than a year, and then I just had my hair relaxed.
But was that, so you were 17, so you straightened your hair and you got a weave. Was this somehow in preparation for university?
So the summer before I went to uni, that's when I stopped wearing a weave and just had my hair relaxed. It was like shoulder length kind of bob. And then obviously just relaxing my hair constantly, like every 6 to 8 weeks, it just killed it. And so I just kept cutting it shorter. Well, actually, no, I didn't cut it shorter and shorter. It was in terrible condition. And I went to a music festival, and it just looked like hell. And I went to my hairdresser afterwards, and I was like, oh, could you just like cut off the ends? And he was like, honey, need to cut off a lot more of the ends. And he just cut it all to like literally like a short pixie cut. It went from like there, from like, you know, chin length bob to like a pixie crop. And like, he didn't consult. He was just like, listen. And I remember looking in the mirror and being like, oh my, like that wasn't what I signed up for. But it was the right decision. And then I wore my hair like that for like up until the age of about 24, 25, just relaxing it every, you know, 2 months or whatever.
So all throughout when you were at uni, who was doing your hair?
I used to get coached back up to London from Oxford, like sometimes in the middle of term. I tried to time it so that it was, you know, in the holidays when I was at home, but if it was in the middle of term, get a coach, because there were like no good black hair shops in Oxford. There probably still aren't any, and certainly not at that time.
How did it feel to get a coach from Oxford to come back to South London to get your hair done? Did you have a sense of relief, a sense of being home, or was it like an unnecessary chore that you kind of hated?
I definitely saw it as an annoying chore, if I'm being honest, just because, and also, you know, it cost me money. Like each of these trips, like round trip, if you included the coach fare and the cost, it was sort of like 80, 100 quid, which as a student is a huge amount of money. And the fact that I was having to do that was, I found it quite annoying. And I didn't really, you know, and I was also kind of quite, it's funny because I've been writing about this for my book actually, but I was slightly embarrassed about it because I was like, you know, what you're doing when you're relaxing your hair is essentially trying to make it look like European it. Like, I know that's, you know, there's all sorts of, like, black women can wear their hair however they want, but if we kind of look back at the history of it and, you know, you're straightening your hair to make it look European, and it obviously it looked like kind of a crap approximation of that. And I think I just had this slight bit of shame about it. So I never told my friends what I was doing. I'd be like, oh, forgotten a textbook at home, need to go back to London. Or I just wouldn't tell them. I'd just kind of get up really early, disappear for like best part of the morning, come back, you know, lunchtime, early afternoon. Nobody really noticed that was gone.
And then when you graduated and went to work in the ad agency, did that change, you know, going from PPE to an ad agency, did that change your personal style, like how you were dressing, your hair, your makeup, your nails? Because as you said, advertising is like cool and creative, and like when you were 20, you said you stopped relaxing your hair when you were 24. What was your style like then, and how did it affect your career?
So I think I've definitely always dressed to match the place that I work in. So at the first ad agency I worked at, it was quite like traditional, a big agency, big old agency, and very posh actually, and full of sort of like men wearing like chinos, or like, what do they wear? Yeah, they'd kind of all just wore the same thing, kind of like chinos and brown brogues and like a button up. But like in a slightly cool way, like they weren't like suits, but like it was like, okay, you don't look like you belong in Shoreditch kind of thing. And then the women, they put, in that first ad agency, I was so shook when I arrived, because honestly, some of them I felt like dressed like they were going out like on a night out. Like, I remember just telling my friends, being like, there was a girl wearing like a sort of like feathery rah-rah skirt and like platform kind of strip heels, like tottering around the office, and I just remember being like, what the hell, like all the girls like really dressed up. But then like the kind of more my style, that end of the spectrum, was very like Whistles and Zara, and so they were quite like, they weren't kooky, it was just very like acceptable high street, like you don't want to rock the boat. And so that's what I wore. I think that's when I started like buying like Russell and Bromley loafers and stuff like that. This is when I stopped relaxing my hair. So I'd wanted to stop relaxing my hair for years. But when you're a black woman and you change your hairstyle and you go into like a white workplace, the level of comments and attention is just so, you just don't want that, especially if it's like, you don't know how it's going to look. And so I never felt able to go from, you know, relaxed hair to braids whilst I was working there. And so I really specifically, I'd been wanting to do it for years. I think I'd even considered it when I'd been about to start that job, but then kind of chickened out. So when I left this job and I went to go work at Vice, in between I was like, this is when I'm going to put my hair in braids and start growing it out. And that's what I did. And obviously I got to Vice and they dressed completely differently. And so I suddenly went from like wearing heels to work every day to like wearing trainers all the time, you know, like never, after the first like couple of weeks I never wore heels to work again, because it was just like, that's just not the vibe here. So again, I think my style changed to become a lot more casual when I was working at Vice, and probably more me.
When I founded WA, we did a pop-up in Selfridges. Selfridges is so hardcore on your appearance. They were like not happy with how we looked. Me and all my team, they were like, you guys look too rough. Like, you need to be, they were like, can you go to the makeup counter and get your makeup done? And can you like blow dry your hair? So it was the first ever time I had 2 tracks of weave in the back. So imagine my hair's blow dried, and actually this is exactly how my hair blow dries as an afro. It blow dries.
At the moment, is your hair natural at the moment?
My hair's been natural
For years, right?
Like 20, no, sorry, not 20, since I was 19. So
it's so healthy.
My hair has been natural for 15 years, but it blow dries really straight. So when people see me, they might think my hair was being relaxed.
Yeah, I always get confused about that with you, because it just blow dries so straight. I'm like, oh wait, have you started relaxing it again?
Yeah, no, never. I have not relaxed it since I was 19. So I'll actually tell a lie. I used to just sometimes relax the edges. Just here for when I was wearing my wig. So Selfridges basically was like, you need your hair like done. So I remember putting 2 tracks of weave in my hair for the first time ever because of Selfridges. And from then I was addicted. I was like,
I've done that as well.
I was like, wow, I can wake up and my hair's done. Like, that's the thing that freaked me out. So Alicia Dobson at Bleach, who's my hairdresser, she was like, okay, let's like do it, because I hated having sewn in weave. I actually always had it bonded in. So I started off with just 2 tracks glued in. So if you imagine, my own hair straight, So I would bond in a track underneath and it would blend in perfectly.
Yeah, I've done that. I did that for my first couple of weeks of uni, just 2 tracks at the back.
Yeah, because you wouldn't even know, because it blended really well with my...
Makes your hair look fuller.
Yeah, so then 2 tracks turned into 10 tracks. 10 tracks turned into like my whole head. And then
that's so funny.
I know, but this is literally what happened. And also, you got to remember, I had, you know, the girls from Bleach in the back of my salon at WAR after 1 year of opening. And it was just like, what should we do with my hair today?
Yeah, just so convenient.
It was so convenient, but also so wonderful to have a bunch of like cool, trendy fashion hairstylists feel like they weren't, you know, nervous about dealing with Afro hair. Like Alex Brownsell, Alicia Dobson's mixed race and Alex Brownsell's white, and Alex Brownsell never once like looked at my hair and made me feel uncomfortable, which is something that I'd had so much whenever I wanted like the Kate Moss pixie cut when I was 16 and delirious. You know what I mean? So I felt like so comfortable in that chair, it made me experiment. But for 9 years straight, from 2010 up until recently, like 18 months ago, I had my weave bonded in every 2 weeks. So I'd have my hair washed
every 2 weeks,
washed into an afro, blow dried straight like this, and then glued layers and layers and layers of glue in my hair. And if anyone's like my look where I have a center parting with my long weave, that's completely glued in. I've never had it sewed in. So one day I woke up and I was like, this is abusive to myself. I was like, this glue, because sometimes if I couldn't get to the hairdresser, I'd do it myself, and I actually got quite adept at doing it myself. I would just be like, I put the glue on, and because I do it in the same place every couple of weeks, I felt the glue, like I felt, you know, like when it's cold because your hair's so thin there.
Yeah.
I remember it feeling cold, and then I was just like, why am I abusing my body?
Yeah. So
then I just one day out of nowhere just woke up and stopped. But my natural hair was so heat damaged that basically that's when I started braiding.
Braids are life. I love them.
That time as well that you stop wearing makeup, because I absolutely love the fact, like here I am with makeup on. I love the fact that you just don't wear makeup, but you used to wear makeup when you were a teenager, right?
Yeah, I used to wear, I remember I went through this phase. I think it was very much also like, you know, teenage girls experimenting and kind of doing what everyone else does. And I remember we had like this one girl in our friendship group who was like, wore quite a bit of makeup. She was stunning, and she also wore quite a bit of makeup, and we were all kind of trying to be mature. So I definitely went through a phase of wearing like a full face of slap, and I mean like, you know, foundation, concealer. I used to wear different coloured eyeshadows on each eye, so I'd have like pink and blue. So random. Literally. And I'd like pencil in my eyebrows. I had this little like razor to like shape my eyebrows, pencil them in, lip gloss. Like I'll try and dig out a photo. And so that went on for like a year or two, and then I kind of calmed down a bit, which I'm glad of. And it also wasn't good for my skin. I was also kind of using it to cover up like blemishy teenage skin. But I'd say during my 20s, so do you know what, me not wearing that much makeup is definitely a sort of recent, like in the past maybe 2 years thing. And I'll tell you why. It's because being self-employed and working from home a lot and not having to see people, I get so used to not having to wear makeup that it really sometimes feels like a real imposition to have to wear it. And so I just don't. And I've also gotten so much more used to the way I look without makeup, because I'm not getting up every, you know, when I worked a 9 to 5, get up every morning, put my makeup on, go to work. Whereas now I'm like, unless I've got a meeting with like someone I haven't really met before, like something like really, really professional situation, most of the time I'll just like not wear that much makeup. I'll like maybe pencil my eyebrows, put some mascara, but the rest of it is just kind of fine.
Why do you feel you need to wear makeup for a professional situation?
Because makeup for women, I think, is a necessity often to make themselves look professional. And I don't make the rules, I don't say I like it, but, you know, there've even been studies that show that women who wear makeup to work earn more money, they get paid more, they get, you know, judged negatively if you don't wear makeup. And I think it is just about looking professional. And so it's fine if I'm meeting like a professional contact that I know well, who is a friend who I've met a few times, or it's like my editor or my agent, like, you know, they don't care what I look like. But if I'm meeting, let's say if I was going to meet a brand, you know, going to pitch them an idea, I'd absolutely make sure that my makeup was looking on point, because it's just like it also just shows that you care. I think, you know, you care about how you're being perceived. And I think for me, wearing makeup is the same thing as, like, I wouldn't go to like an important meeting with like scruffy clothes with like holes in them and, you know, buttons missing or whatever like that. And I think for me, makeup is just that kind of necessity.
It's an important thing to understand the cost of being successful in the workplace. So when you said that there are studies that women who wear makeup like earn more professionally, etc., I believe that like wholly.
Yeah.
But the cost of that, if you you have to deduct that cost from your earnings. So, you know, I'm also earning as much as the guy next to me who does the same job, but it costs me more to earn that money because I have to get my hair done and my nails done and buy this really expensive makeup because cheap makeup's not going to cut it. And I have to get all of, you know what I mean? So I really, I think about this a lot because while I am in the beauty industry, I think that when you have to consume these things or you feel forced to consume these things to fit into the society that exists around you, that's when I find it problematic. I try and focus our business, and I've always focused prior to Beautystack on the idea of it being a form of self-expression of your identity in almost an anthropological sense. Like, how would I show people who I am? Like, not how would I you know, do these rituals to myself to fit into the society around me. And I find that it's really difficult in your early 20s, I think, to have the kind of inner sense of self to be able to cement your position, even if it's against what the societal position is. And I find for myself personally that my 20s was about being like, okay, am I this woman, am I that woman, like which one of these personas that I've molded myself into feels the most comfortable and the most like me. I remember when I started getting my hair braided and wearing braids, it was actually around the time when I was fundraising for Beautystack or just generally working on Beautystack. And I look so gangster. I literally look like the American kind of like rude girl from the 90s that I've always wanted to look like. And so it's bank holiday weekend, and I had a pitch meeting to a really, really, really well-known investor on the Tuesday. And all I kept thinking was, I don't want to take my hair out. My hair looks sick. I've only had it in for 2 days. I don't want to take my hair out. So it was the first time ever that I went to a pitch meeting with my hair in a non-European style.
But can you believe that was like the fact that was something that you were thinking? And I understand why you were thinking that, and that is absolutely something that I would have thought myself. And I think my equivalent of that in the past few years since I've had my hair natural is I feel like having my hair in braids and, like, you know, the box braids I used to have is kind of like the acceptable, even though it's a very black hairstyle, but it's kind of the acceptable kind of
braids. There is like something acceptable in the workplace and something not.
Yeah, well, I think the braids I wore were very like conventional, so I felt like those could absolutely slip into any professional situation. What I sometimes felt a bit funny about was so before I cut it all off, you know, my hair was like an afro. Like, what I felt weird about was wearing it natural. And so sometimes there were definitely events or meetings that when I knew that they were coming up, I'd be like, oh, I need to get my hair braided before that, and being quite like stressed and being like, oh, I need to like get the date in the diary so I can get my hair braided. Yeah. And again, that's something that I think I've gotten past now for the most part, but it's definitely a thing that Black women consider. It's like how professional or acceptable, how is my hair going to make other people feel? And it's horrible, but it's also, I'm kind of glad that you have said that. And then also I think there's often like a moment where, in your case, you're like, I've only had these braids for 2 days, they look banging, I'm not going to take them out. But there's often something that kind of just pushes you into being like, this is my hair, like they will deal, you know?
There's two things that you've pointed out there. The first one being that everybody has their new normal. So although you went from having relaxed hair to braids, there was still a normalization within the braids that was acceptable. Yeah. Whereas if you've gone with 2 cane rows, it might not be acceptable, you know?
Right.
So it's really funny thinking about what that baseline of the barometer is, that you think is acceptable to those around you. Because, if I just had normal box braids, I don't think I would have been that, bothered about it.
Yeah.
But having these hood chunky braids, I was like, oh my goodness. And he actually did make a point of it. He said like, oh, these, because, but then what I found was, while I was pitching Beautystack, I could use my own hair and nails as an example of the niche and uniqueness.
I love that.
So I found that my constant and ever-changing hair and nails, etc., became part of my identity and my pitch. But the first time it happened, I was really nervous.
At Beautystack, we believe in increasing the power of beauty and wellness professionals around the world. Whether that's industry power, economic power, or simply the power to manage your career on your own terms, we got you. Beautystack helps you grow your business through our app. You can build your portfolio, be discovered by clients in our home feed, and take bookings and payments all directly from your content. Because likes and shares don't put food on the table. Join the Beautystack community and download the app for free from the App Store today. Now, back to the show.
Thinking about what the baseline of normal is quite interesting. And then the second thing you said is everybody has their Damascus moment. Everybody has their time when it's just like, stop, like what's going on? That they have their own personal intervention. But for me, I was just like, on that time, my hair looks way too fly to it. So let's move on to your cut now. What was the impetus for this? Tell me.
Do you know what? It was, I'm still kind of getting my head around it. So I was basically in my own personal isolation just before Corona hit, because I was like, I've got this book deadline in like 6 weeks time and I really need to. So I'd like already, it's actually kind of crap because I'd already basically been like on lockdown for weeks before actual lockdown hit. And like, it does something to your brain. And so like, my hair was out. Actually, the sequence of events, my hair, I'd taken my braids out, could not be bothered to go and get them braided. Because much as I love braids, sometimes the whole process of it is I have to go out and buy the hair, because I like to wash my extensions at home in apple cider vinegar, which I've told you about, to get rid of the chemicals on them. So like, and obviously I would never think to buy in bulk when I was in, packs. I would always buy just what I needed for my next appointment. I was like, whatever. And I was like, I think I might give it a go of cutting it. But I was still kind of dallying. And I had this big event, 2 big events the weekend of International Women's Day. I was trying to get a hair appointment to cut it. Couldn't get through to my usual stylist. And then I messaged Sabrina on the recommendation of another of my friend Zazie.
I love Sabrina Kid.
Amazing. But I messaged her maybe about like 6 p.m. and obviously she's not checking her phone every single minute of the day. So I was like, hey, can I get an appointment like tomorrow? And she's like super busy as well. So like that was probably not going to happen. And then I'd been like snipping little bits of my hair anyway. And I've been messaging Zazie, who's my friend, being like, Zazie, I think I'm going to cut my hair myself. And she was like, no. She was literally like, put down the scissors, just call Sabrina. Something just got into me. I went downstairs, made a cup of tea, sat in front of my mirror and just snipped and hacked it all off, because I was so fed up of it. And I was like, if there's one thing I know, because I have this big event coming up in a few days' time, I was like, I am not going to wash my hair myself before that event. I was like, I am not going to deal with this myself. So I cut it. I was like, worst comes to worst, I'm just going to have to like go to like a local barber to get it sorted out. I was like, you know, they cut, you know, hair like this all the time. They cut men's hair. Worst comes to worst, I'll get them to neaten it up. So cut it, sent Sabrina a photo, and she opened her phone. She was like, come see me tomorrow. And she literally looked, I think she must have looked at them, but she was like, what have you, she actually called me. Yeah. And she was like, have you already cut it? And I was like, yeah. I think she thought I was having a meltdown.
Like a Britney Spears.
It was a very Britney. I think everyone thought I was having a meltdown, actually, because I'd also sent Zazie a picture, and she was just like, everyone was like, what are you doing? What have you done? Anyway, I went in to see Sabrina the next day, and she gave me like a proper cut, shaped it up. And you know what? I mean, I love the haircut. She is amazing at what she does. I've been like up and down with how I feel about it. So when I left the salon, obviously as well, there's like this like whatever witchcraft that hairdressers have, where when they style your hair, you can never make it look that good yourself at home. And I like watched her, and I bought all the products that she used, like, but whatever, it's like you improve on the technique. When I left, and like for the first few days, I was like, oh my god, so chic, like amazing, like I love it, like oh my god, like looking in the mirror. And also I just had my eyebrows tattooed by Rachel Pittman, so it was like, of all the times to have like a really short exposing haircut, like I was like, this is good timing. But it's just, I can't, do you know what, I think the thing that made me nervous when I did it, and still kind of I find quite confronting, is not feeling feminine. And so I was like, I knew that was going to be challenging for me, and that's the thing that I'm still finding challenging, because I think, I mean, it's all sorts of like society, whatever, but I think, you know, having really short hair like this, I'm like, oh my god, do I look like a boy? I have to kind of change how I dress slightly. The funny thing is, the makeup that I can wear is completely changed. Like, I can't wear any colour on my face. Like, I tried putting on like my usual like cloud paint blusher, it makes me look awful. I put on even like quite a nudie lipstick colour, awful. So now I've decided the only makeup I can really wear whilst my hair is like this is loads of eyeliner and mascara, which looks really good. I need to learn how to contour my cheeks, because I think that, I was just like, I feel like that would look good, but I can't wear any colour. It just has to be black and brown, no colour. But I'm basically still getting used to it.
How do you feel on a good day, and how do you feel on a bad day?
I think that's a really good question. So pretty much as soon as I cut it, and I was still kind of getting to grips with it, I've made this note on my phone called short hair observations. And I've written, it makes you confront what you really do or don't like about your face. In my case, which I've realised, is my skin, as in the texture, not the colour. I love my skin colour, but like, I'm like, oh, I just want that like smooth, like amazing skin. And then I felt a funny way about my nose, which is weird because I've never thought about it before. And I think because when you've got short hair like this, your face is so exposed, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I like my nose, whereas I've never thought about it before, because it's just like, it's just never been that visible. But I'm like, okay, you just need to get used to that, because that is your nose. I realized that my face isn't as feminine as I thought. I have quite a strong, it sounds really mean, but I'm just like being very blunt. I have a strong and square jaw and a big nose, which I'd always thought was proportionate, but it's not. I've written, it's too big. But my face is symmetrical and evenly proportioned. And then the last thing I wrote is reasons I cut my hair: practicality, boredom, curiosity.
So much for sharing that, because I know it's an incredibly intimate process. Thank you. Sorry. Right. So one of the things that's made your new haircut palatable to you is your new brows. Tell me.
So, yeah, I'm obsessed with them, actually. So I've always been really brow focused. I remember kind of plucking, and also kind of, you know, those little like razors that you get in black hair shops. I remember trying those few different methods when I was a teenager. And I don't know whether my eyebrows are naturally sparse, whether it's just years of plucking them got them that way, but definitely the tails, like the second half of them, are pretty non-existent. And I'd gotten to a good place in terms of what products I use. Like, I use this YSL brow pencil that I found that a friend recommended years ago. They've unfortunately now discontinued it. So actually last time I was in an airport, so I'd gone to all the department stores and was like, where is this brow pencil? And they're like, oh, we've discontinued it, and the new one wasn't good. And then I happened to be flying through Gatwick, and like airport beauty counters on a slightly slower turnaround. And so I was like, do you happen to have any of these left? And they were like, oh yeah, we've got 4. And I was like, I'll take them all. Bought them all. I was like, I'm just gonna have to ration this out. So I'd gotten to a good place in my product, but I saw Rachel Pittman's work on You years ago, and I was like, that is exactly what I need. But I was like, for me, I was like, this is quite an extreme treatment. Like, it's tattooing your face, and it's not cheap. I think she's absolutely worth the money and then some, but it's not a cheap treatment. But then I was like, this bothers me so much. Like, especially in the summer when my skin is super oily, and I just wipe my face, and with off the back of my hand, my eyebrow comes off with it as well. And like in hot weather, I was just like, I can't do this anymore, like constantly having to pencil in and touch up my eyebrows. So I was like, I'm gonna get it done. And then so I was following Rachel, I was gonna book an appointment, but I was still nervous. I was like, if this doesn't turn out right, like it's on my face for good, or for like a long period of time. And then she just had like a random free slot, like cancellation, like in January. And I just messaged her and I was like, can I have it? It was like the next week, and I was like, I don't want to think about it too much. So I was like, it's next week. I was like, can I have it? She's like, yeah, went in. And so we had the first appointment. And when I tell you, when I looked in the mirror afterwards, I just was like the biggest grin on my face. Like, I was so, also because I'm really fussy, as I'm sure Rachel will tell you, as she later told me, like she was being very jokes and sweet about it. I was super fussy about the shape. She's such an amazing practitioner. I think she really takes it so seriously and knows, like, I think usually I'm quite controlling. So I will usually try and tell someone how to do something like that on me. But it was very clear to me that she knows best, and I trust what she says. And so we had the touch up just before, actually, I think we went into like kind of corona lockdown.
Rachel Pittman is a game changer for me, and I'm so glad to hear that she's been a game changer for you.
Yeah.
Last section
mm-hmm.
is our quick fire round. So okay. I'm going to ask you about your beauty stack, and you just need to quick fire tell me what you do. We're going to start from the top of the stack down to the bottom. All right, Otegha, are you ready? Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, so who does your hair?
So it's a mixture of different people. When I still had lots of hair, I'd go to Charlotte Mentz's salon in Portobello. Obviously, Sabrina Kidd did my haircut. And then for my braids, I'd go to a lady that I see in a salon in Peckham called Foller.
Awesome. Do you get facials?
I don't get facials regularly. I've had a few through Beautystack. So I've seen Uwagba, skin doctor, and she did this incredible thing on my skin. It was like a micro current energy thing. But I don't get facials. I think that's something that I want to do more of, because I'm trying to do the whole effortless skin thing. And I think it's down to facials and skincare, not makeup. Yeah.
So a brow's your life, and where's the only place you'll go?
Yes, brows are life. And I recently had my eyebrows tattooed on by Rachel Pittman, which has actually changed my life. They look amazing now.
What about lashes? Do you get lifts or extensions, or natural?
Lashes are natural, because my natural lashes are actually very curly. So doing anything to them is just kind of pointless.
Do you ever get your makeup done professionally?
I only get my makeup done professionally on shoots, but I actually prefer doing my makeup myself. I often will go to a shoot and just ask to do it myself.
What about body treatment, scrubs, massages, stretching?
I love a massage. If I go on holiday, I do like massage tourism. So I'll always try like the local massage. Sounds so weird. And in London, I've seen Paris Thompson, who is on Beautystack.
Is amazing. I love that phrase, massage tourism. That's exactly what I do. Yeah. Do you mark your body, henna, tattoos, or piercings?
I've got one tiny tattoo that I feel like doesn't even count, but I've got 3 piercings in each ear. I think I might add to it, because I love like an ear stack. I think that's what they're called. I think they look so great, so I might get some more.
It does, it looks cool. Who does your nails, hands and feet? Do you even get your nails done?
I have taken a long break because I used to have back-to-back shellac, and it wrecked my nails. But when I do get my nails done, I get them done at Dream Nail Salon in Streatham.
Is hair removal something that's important to you?
Yeah, I had laser hair removal on my bikini line a couple of years ago, and it was one of the, along with getting my eyebrows tattooed by Richard Pittman, I think laser hair removal on my bikini line is one of the best things I've ever done.
I need it. What about wellness? Do you get holistic treatments, acupuncture, Reiki, anything like that?
No, but I would really like to try acupuncture. I'll do that once the lockdown's lifted.
How do you feel about spiritual healers like tarot readers and shamans?
I'm usually quite skeptical about that stuff, but a few weeks ago I was feeling very stressed and out of sorts because of the lockdown, and a friend of mine did a tarot reading for me that felt very meaningful, so I've been thinking about that a lot.
Do you have a coach or therapist?
I have a therapist who is amazing. Taking a little break from therapy at the moment, but I think starting therapy last year is one of the best things I've ever done.
Love it. Thank you so much, Otegha. This has been amazing.
Thank you. This has been a really nice way to catch up and learn more about each other. Like, I forget that you interviewing me.
Thanks for coming on and sharing your beauty stories and your career stories. I've learned so much more about you and your identity, and I realise we're just the same.
I love that. Thank you, Sharmadine, for having me on. This has been a pleasure.
If you're looking for a place to book unique treatments, or if you're a beauty professional and want to list your business with us, don't forget to download the Beautystack app for free from the App Store. If you like this podcast, please subscribe and leave us a review. Till next time.